He says, I'm 20 years old and I'm looking to buy a house within 6 months to a year. Besides having 20% down, what other tips would you recommend for a first-time home buyer?
Boom. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. Dave ain't even spoke yet. 20% down. Mind you, if you're able to pull that off, kudos to you. Definitely kudos to you. But identify if there's other like programs, FHA programs, VHDA programs that allow you to put down little to no money down. I think the biggest part of buying a home right now is getting past the actual just buying entry point of getting a home. Utilizing 20%, especially with the way house values have increased right now, putting 20% down on a home may not be feasible for most, and honestly may not be wise for most, but that's just my 2 cents.
Also, is there anything that I need to look out for? Yeah, I would say there's a couple of things to keep in mind. I think it's great that you're putting 20% down. We would say to do a deal where your payment is no more than 25% of your take home, and that's taxes, insurance, all included in a conventional loan. And I love that you're putting.
She said no more than 25% of your annual income. She's looking at it from an annual income percentage as opposed to an actual amount. You know what I'm saying? So I can respect that. She's correlating close to what I just said.
Putting 20% down because then you can avoid PMI, which is private.
Now, PMI is a private mortgage insurance. It's basically an addition to your payment every month if you don't pay amount down a certain amount. PMI, don't get me wrong, basically you're paying for nothing. I get it. But I think in this day and age of society, paying a little bit of PMI is probably one of the lesser worries you should be worrying about at this point of getting a home.
Mortgage insurance, and it's just an additional cost there. But with 20% down, you can avoid that. But I feel like you're in pretty good shape. I mean, other than that, it sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, a couple of things. Good idea. Good question, by the way. 15-year fixed rate, 25% of your take-home pay.
15-year would be lovely. A lot of people just simply don't make enough to be able to kind of make that work, especially with the incomes people are making today and how high values have gotten. I mean, if you have the ability to do a 15-year loan, I applaud you. It's just not going to be a lot of people able to do that.
Always, everyone, anytime you buy a piece of real estate, get title insurance.
That's correct.
100% of the time. Anytime you're buying a piece of property that is not a traditional subdivision lot, meaning it's very, very predictable, always get a survey.
I always say if you have, especially if you have a detached home, specifically a detached home, get a survey. Your first home, I would probably recommend getting a survey if possible, just to kind of know what you own and be sure about what you own. Some houses, like condominiums and townhouses, sometimes it's a little. I don't want to use the word assume, but it's a little easier to assume exactly what you own. But detached properties, getting a survey, 9 times out of 10, I would probably recommend getting one.
I bought 3 acres that turned out to be 1.75.
Exactly. When you're sitting with houses where you have the expectations of buying a lot of land per se, definitely get a survey, because just like Dave said, perfect example. You under the assumption you bought 10 acres, but you really only own 4. So you definitely want to know that.
You get a survey on it. Okay. Now you got a standard subdivision lot that is pre-platted and has changed hands 3 or 4 times. You don't have to worry about that. It is what it is.
Exactly.
But if you're buying something otherwise, get a survey, get title insurance, get a home inspection.
Bro, it's 2025, bro. Don't be buying no houses without getting a home inspection, bro. If you do that, bro, don't come here and don't get in my comments later saying anything bad about real estate, bro, because that is your fault. If you buy a house without a home inspection, whatever happens is your fault, period.
Get a home inspection. You're 20 years old. You're not an expert on much of anything in that house, unless you just happen to be an electrician or something, and then you would be, right? But get a home inspection, period. I've bought and sold several thousand pieces of real estate. I get a home inspection. Last house I bought, I got one. Okay, I can't.
Every house you buy, get a home inspection.
And go in there and scratch around in the crawl space and try to figure it out. But for what it costs, let somebody else do it, right? That's the thing. Don't buy a house that is a great price but is ugly from the street.
He's basically saying, as a first-time home buyer, you really should probably stay away from fixer-uppers. I could respect that. A lot of people try to take on that idea, like, you know what? I can get a deal here and I can make it work. And you might not be understanding and realizing what you're getting yourself into. So I gotta agree with Dave on that one. Don't really say, well, I'm qualified this amount. I want to spend way under it because I think I can bypass paying all this extra money. You're gonna cutting corners. You know what I'm saying? You always gonna cut corners in both corners. So be mindful of that.
First house I bought was that. I got a great deal, and this house was ugly from the street. There's no fixing ugly.
Yeah, that's
you
hard to
can't fix
fix.
Ugly. Okay.
Or he's kind of, I might have misinterpreted him. He might be really talking about like curb appeal in general. If it flats out just look ugly when you pull up, like don't buy it, man. Because you got to always think about resale. Even though you buying it to think about yourself living in it, always think about resale. No matter how long you plan on living in the house. Even if you consider it your forever home, always think about resale. Because one day you may have to sell, and it's a lot easier to sell a house that looks nice as opposed to one that looks ugly.
It's just still going to be no. Well, we could no. Don't try to fix ugly. Ugly, you just look like oh, had plastic surgery and you shouldn't have bothered. Oh, don't do it. Don't. You just can't fix it. Leave it alone.
That's a
just
good point.
don't. It's not a good buy, because if you get a good buy on it now, when you get ready to sell it, you know what you have? An ugly house.
Exactly.
And you're going to give somebody else a good deal because nobody wants an ugly house. So
Exactly.
there's a reason it was cheap when you bought it, and there'll be a reason it's cheap when you sell it. So
That's a good
And that's
point.
also true with the actual floor plan. I bought a house one time. No, actually, I didn't buy. I rented it one time that was a 4-bedroom, but to get to one of the bedrooms,
go
you had
through
to
it.
walk through the other bedroom.
I've seen that before. So always think about, how usable is the actual house for you and the next individual. It's true. I've been in many houses where you have to walk into a bedroom to get to another bedroom. Like imagine, you live in that first bedroom and your kids live in the further bedroom, and in order to get to their room, they have to go through your room. Like, do you really want that? Like, think about the stuff that you might be doing in your bedroom that you don't want your children to see. And your kids walk in and you getting mad at them for coming in your room and they simply just trying to go sleep in their room. Like, come on now.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
This
Terrible
is,
floor plan.
we used to call these country built houses where you just keep adding on,
Rambling.
and you just go, yeah, well, there was actually no plan from the beginning,
Yeah.
and then you've got no plan. So be careful with that kind of stuff. You can get excited, particularly on your first buy, and try to buy something that's a little bit boring.
That's good advice.
Don't try.
Buy something that you could give a little bit of life, man. You can make sweat equity. It's nothing better than sweat equity, bro. Like, if you have an idea and it's not really too far off the deep end, go for it.
Like reinvent the word. I'm going to do a rehab. Oh God, no.
Well, I
Please.
mean, you could pick something that's got things that you can fix. Like if the carpet's super ugly, there's things
can
that are
change carpet. Yeah,
outdated.
change
Like
carpet.
you can change that, but
You can put the gutters up. That's
Right,
fine. But don't
right.
tell me you got to change the whole. No, yeah, I got to tear out. I
Yeah.
got to add. No. Just just boring.
If you can make changes without altering the square footage, you're usually probably ahead of the game. Like, what David's saying is don't make a full-on addition to the house. Don't do anything that requires a permit. If you can make the house look better without doing things that require a permit, and it's in a comfortable position for you, go for it.
Means less risk going in and less risk going out. And so a nice little house with a little picket fence and little bushes out front, and you look at it from the street and everybody goes, "Oh, that's cute." That's where you want to start.
what do you think about corner lots? Because when we bought in our neighborhood before we came here, we thought we had a good lot because we were on the corner by the gate. And for us, it was great. We thought, oh, we could take the dog out. It's easy access. But then when we got ready to sell, it sold for less.
Corner lots are a mixed blessing because generally corner lots present well from the street.
Correct.
Right.
But you have no freaking backyard.
Correct.
You got this little tiny triangle.
They present well from the street. You have no backyard, and you usually have more parking for guests on the corner lot. A lot of people don't realize that. But again, some people just don't like the exposure of being on the corner lot. Everybody can see you from anywhere on the corner, and they just rather be more inland per se. So it is, it's kind of, that's one of those things where it's to some person it might be better, and to some person it might be worse. It's basically the definition of apples and oranges on that one.
Angle back there where they crammed the house back inside at a 45. And so it depends on the subdivision, depends on the lot, size,
Right.
all those kinds of things. But generally speaking, you get a nice presentation from the front, and then you're pinched in the back.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's generally what you get. So watch for that. It's not the end of the world, but watch for that. Again,
I gotta say, this was pretty smooth. This was straight to the point. I gotta agree with Dave on almost everything he said here. And it's real translatable to the buying market of 2025, even though this was done in 2023. So I think this aged very well. But other than that, y'all be easy. I'll see y'all on another reaction. Go.